Like I say, I feel like people are writing and then they kind of get that writer's block. You need a global book publishing to help you. And I'll tell anybody, you just need someone to help you. That's it. You just need that extra push. My name is Jessica Wilson, and I live in Van Nuys, California. And this is my book, The One That Got Away, Embracing the Past While Walking into Purpose. So right now I'm trying to get speaking gigs for the book, but it was a long journey, and by the grace of God, I got there. And as I look back at it now, I can see the stepping stones that it was taking me to get to the next step. Working on my job as being a patient care rep and seeing people come in there, and a lot of people notice that I have the kind of southern swag, and they're like, "Well, where are you from?" And I said, "Well, I'm from here, but I've been living in Louisiana for the last 30 years." And then they'll ask me, "Well, what brought you here?" And I'll say, "Well, to connect with my birth mother, and I just kind of, sometimes I share the story, I was adopted and I found my birth parents, so I came here and stuff. And so a couple of other patients would always say, "Girl, you got a story." And I kept hearing that, "Girl, you got a story, you got a story, you got a story, you know. And then I remember that I can remember things that happened to me back when I was 5. And I kept thinking, why is it so vivid in my mind of everything that I went through? My thing was, I was embarrassed about what I went through. It's like, everybody's gonna know what you've done and this, that, and the other, and they're gonna talk about you. So I was still caught up in the opinions of what people thought, you know. And I just like, well, they don't need to know that. And it's like, no, and then even, like I say, finding my biological family and stuff. And I was fine too, but then it was like, it was still something about that, like you're the outside ugly duckling, so I was thinking so bad about myself, and that was the thing. I had to get past that, because like we can be our worst enemies with this mind of what we think. And I tell people it starts with a thought, then it gets into your heart. And then once it gets into your heart, you start speaking it. And once you put it out there, it's like sometimes it's hard to come back from that. So I had to really just shut the mind down. I was on Instagram one night and I heard sis say, "So you want to write a book? You'll know where to get started, huh?" And I'm like, "Okay, Lord, I hear you." So I listened, and it said, "If you feel like we can help you, write a little thing about what you want to talk about." And we did the call. So we talked, and I was just sharing about, and I was adopted and stuff. And she was like, "Oh my God, you have so much compassion. We want to help you." And that's how I got started. The 7 steps, it's like kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, each step. Because like I said, in school I ditched. I didn't even have English. I had the class, I didn't go. So it just really took me back to the basics to really just think about what you're gonna write, how to do this, how to do that. And it's just ABC. And like I say, if you don't know what you're doing, it's the best thing to do is to get some guidance on how to do A, B, C, and D. You can't be too prideful. Well, I don't need that. Baby, look, I needed it. I needed to, on my writing with the capital period, this, that, and the other. And the good thing about it is that you guys are there to help. If it's not right, okay, well, let's try doing it this way. What do you think about this way? You don't take from the writer, but you help them to enhance what they're writing. How do you think this sounds? Would this sound better? So it's not like you guys are putting the words in there, but you're enhancing my words to sound a little bit better and just write it differently. And that's what I needed. I got an email after the editor, Nick, or read the book, and he sent the email to me, or he sent, and it was saying that how he, admired the story, kind of paraphrase, admired my journey, and how he felt like it took a lot of confidence to just put that out there. And, my thing was, I remember she said, if a person reads your book and they feel it, you wrote a good book. And I thank God that that's what he said. And that was like, oh my God, this is happening. Even the editors, like, because he's the first one, because like I said, wrote the book. They're the ones that go through it. And for him to read it and just like tell me that it was really good and the things I went through and how I'm just putting it out there and like, with love and admiration. So that right there, I said, Lord, oh God, it's out and it's good. It's like, it was a miracle because like I said, I used to ditch school, go off to the beach, smoke weed, come back. So to have written a book, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, when my kids and they're in Louisiana, when they found out I wrote the book, they were like so happy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh my God. Because people know all your bad stuff, you know, drugs and all, they know all that. But when you're an author, you know, people, it's like you get a level of respect. Well, when I first started, the why was, you know, maybe for my kids, you know, the why. And now as I go forward, the why is for other people. And now the why is for the world to see, you know, it's like, why do you want to write a book? I said, well, you know what? I've had, I went through so much coming up. And I said, I feel like I went through this for a reason. You know, I don't feel like I went through everything I went through in my life just to be, you know, for just me. It's a reason why the Lord allowed me to go through this. So that's the why. That's why I'm putting it out there. You know, it's not that I want to expose all my dirty laundry, but I feel like there's a lot of people that laundry is probably dirtier than mine. And they need to know if Jessica Wilson can go through all the stuff that she went through, so can I. It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen because I wouldn't know what to do, how to do, and nothing, and it would have been a flop. So I tell anybody, me, I already know. If they say you're gonna write a book on your own, nope. I'm a when I do my second book, I'm gonna have the money. I'm gonna get you. We're gonna ghost write, and you're gonna write, and I'm gonna talk. I would tell them if you realize that you're not able to write the book on your own, and you know you need help, like me. I didn't have the funds, but I know that one thing about it is going to pay off in the long run, you know. And I realized that when people, like even movie stars, when they start something, they have to invest in themselves. You know what I'm saying? And then you don't look at that; you just look at the outcome. So we look at, oh, I don't have it, this, that, and other. But you have to look at what it's going to do in the long run. So I would tell them, you can't straddle the fence. You got to step over on it, on the side, and come on, write the book, get your story out there, and be a blessing and embrace the past and walk into that purpose because there's someone there that needs to hear your story, and you'll be amazed of that person that's sitting there saying, wow, I'm not alone.